Have you ever paused mid-bite and wondered, is this meal actually protecting my brain or quietly harming it? Most people over 60 believe they're doing the right thing when they choose fish. After all, we've heard it for decades: fish supports heart health, improves circulation, and feeds the brain. Leafy greens, berries, olive oil, and yes, fish. But here's what I need you to understand today. Not every fish is protective after 60. In fact, some types, especially depending on how they're prepared or sourced, can sharply increase your stroke risk without you realizing it. And that's not fear-based talk. That's vascular science. I'm Dr. Christina Serrati, and as we age, our blood vessels don't respond to food the way they used to. Arteries become less elastic. The inner lining of the vessels, what we call the endothelium, becomes more fragile. Blood pressure fluctuations hit harder. Inflammation lingers longer. Which means certain foods that once seemed harmless can suddenly become dangerous triggers. Here's something that might surprise you. Recent nutritional analyses suggest that nearly 1 in 4 stroke events in seniors is linked to dietary stressors, not just genetics, not just aging, but food choices that promote inflammation, clot formation, or vascular instability. And fish is one of the most misunderstood categories. Yes, some fish are extraordinary for brain and heart protection. But others, especially salted, farm-raised, heavily processed, or deep-fried varieties, can trigger sudden blood pressure spikes, increased blood clot formation, and endothelial damage, microvascular stress in the brain. These are silent pathways to stroke. And most people never connect their weekly fish meal to their vascular health. That fried fillet, that salty preserved fish stew, that healthy, budget-friendly farmed option. It may look clean on the plate, but inside your arteries, a very different story could be unfolding. But let me be very clear, this is not about eliminating fish. This is about choosing wisely, especially after 60. In today's episode, I'm going to walk you through 4 types of fish I recommend removing from your regular rotation. 3 of the safest, most protective options for brain and heart health, and exactly how to prepare them to preserve their benefits, because when chosen correctly, fish can reduce inflammation, stabilize blood pressure, and even improve blood vessel flexibility. But when chosen poorly, they can quietly raise your stroke risk. Let's look beneath the surface. Because after 60, details matter. Let's begin with the first fish that concerns me the most for adults over 60. Keycap 1 salted mackerel. Now, I know this one may feel cultural, traditional, comforting. Salted mackerel has been part of family meals for generations in many parts of the world. It's flavorful, affordable, and shelf-stable. But here's the vascular reality. A single modest serving of salted mackerel can contain over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, sometimes more than half of what your entire body should consume in a day. And after 60, sodium hits differently. Your arteries are no longer as flexible. The vessel walls stiffen with age. So when a large sodium load enters your bloodstream, it doesn't just raise blood pressure gently, it can cause a rapid spike. That sudden pressure surge stretches delicate capillaries in the brain. Repeated over time, this creates microscopic injury to the endothelium, the thin protective lining inside your blood vessels. When that lining becomes irritated, inflammation increases. And inflammation is what makes clots more likely to form. But that's not all. Salted mackerel is also high in purines, compounds that break down into uric acid. Elevated uric acid levels are strongly associated with vascular inflammation and arterial stiffness. So now you have sodium-induced pressure spikes, uric acid-driven inflammation. Already aging arteries. That combination significantly raises the risk of ischemic stroke, where a clot blocks blood flow to part of the brain. And here's what worries me most: people rarely eat just a tiny portion. It's usually paired with rice, sauces, or other salty condiments, compounding the load. If you've ever felt flushed, dizzy, or headachy after a heavily salted meal, that is not normal aging. That's vascular stress. And after 60, your body recovers from that stress much more slowly. For many of my patients, this is one fish I suggest retiring from regular use. Keycap 2 farmed tilapia. Now this one surprises people. Tilapia is often marketed as a healthy, lean protein. It's mild, affordable, easy to cook, widely available. But most tilapia sold in supermarkets today is farm-raised in high-density aquaculture systems. and that changes its nutritional profile dramatically. Wild fish naturally contain balanced omega-3 fatty acids, the anti-inflammatory fats your brain and heart love. But farm tilapia are typically fed grain-heavy diets, resulting in a very high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Omega-6 fats aren't bad on their own. The problem is imbalance. When omega-6 levels dominate without enough omega-3 to counteract them, they promote inflammation, especially inside blood vessels. Chronic vascular inflammation narrows arteries, increases clotting tendency, and raises stroke risk over time. Even more concerning, some overseas farming systems expose fish to antibiotics, pollutants, or contaminated water sources. Trace residues can accumulate in the tissue. After 60, your liver and kidneys are less efficient at detoxification. That means these compounds stay in circulation longer, irritating the endothelial lining and impairing blood vessel function. The damage isn't immediate. It's gradual, silent, cumulative. And that's what makes it dangerous. Not all tilapia is harmful, but unless you know the exact sourcing and farming practices, it's difficult to assess quality. At this stage of life, guesswork with vascular health simply isn't worth the risk. Now let's talk about something very important. The next risk isn't always about the type of fish. It's about how it's prepared. Keycap 3 deep-fried catfish and similar white fish. I want to be clear, catfish itself is not the villain. The problem is deep frying. When fish is submerged in extremely hot oil, especially reused or processed oils, the natural healthy fats inside the fish undergo chemical transformation. Omega-3 fats, which are normally protective, become oxidized. And in high heat frying, trans fats can form. Trans fats are among the most harmful substances for aging arteries. They directly damage the endothelial lining, increase LDL oxidation, and accelerate plaque buildup. Over time, arteries lose elasticity and become stiff. After 60, arterial stiffness is one of the strongest predictors of stroke. But here's what makes deep-fried fish particularly problematic. It's rarely eaten alone. It's often paired with refined white rice bred to sugary sauces, processed side dishes. This combination causes a rapid spike in blood sugar and triglycerides immediately after the meal. In older adults, that sudden metabolic surge thickens the blood temporarily and increases platelet activation, meaning your blood becomes more prone to clotting. Now combine oxidized fats, inflammation, and blood sugar spikes, a stiff arteries. That is a perfect storm for clot formation. Many people say to me, "But I eat fish regularly." Yes, but chemistry matters more than intention. Deep frying transforms a potentially beneficial food into something your arteries experience as stress. And repeated vascular stress over years is how silent damage accumulates. Keycap for shark and swordfish. These two sound impressive, premium, even luxurious. But they carry a hidden danger that becomes more serious after 60. Mercury. Shark and swordfish are large predatory fish at the top of the ocean food chain. Over their long lifespans, they accumulate high levels of methylmercury. Methylmercury is a neurotoxin. You won't feel it immediately. That's what makes it deceptive. In younger adults, small amounts may be eliminated efficiently. But with aging, detoxification slows. Kidney filtration declines. Liver processing becomes less efficient. So mercury remains in circulation longer. Over time, it can cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in nervous tissue. Mercury exposure is associated with endothelial dysfunction, increased oxidative stress, disrupted blood pressure regulation, a higher risk of arrhythmias, to microvascular damage in the brain. And here's something most people don't realize. Mercury doesn't just affect memory, it can destabilize the autonomic nervous system, which regulates heart rate and vessel constriction. For seniors, even minor instability in blood pressure regulation can trigger serious vascular events. And because symptoms are subtle, fatigue, lightheadedness, poor sleep, most people never connect the dots. By the time damage becomes measurable, it has already accumulated. For my patients over 60, I recommend avoiding shark and swordfish entirely. The risk simply outweighs the benefit. Now that we've covered what to avoid, let's talk about what you should be adding to your plate. Because some fish can actively protect your brain and your arteries. Now let's shift from caution to empowerment. Because while some fish strain your blood vessels, others can actively repair and protect them. And after 60, that distinction matters more than ever. Keycap 1 Sardines. Small but powerful sardines are one of the most underestimated superfoods for brain and heart health. Because they are small and short-lived, they accumulate almost no mercury. That makes them one of the safest fish for regular consumption. But safety is only the beginning. Sardines are rich in EPA and DHA, the two omega-3 fatty acids directly linked to reduced inflammation, improved blood vessel flexibility, and lower triglycerides. Omega-3s help calm the inner lining of the arteries. They reduce C-reactive protein, a key inflammation marker associated with stroke risk. And here's something many people overlook: sardines are often eaten with the bones intact, which means they're an excellent natural source of calcium. Calcium isn't just about bones. It supports proper blood vessel contraction and relaxation, essential for stable blood pressure. They also contain CoQ10, a compound that supports energy production in heart muscle cells and acts as an antioxidant against vascular damage. My recommendation? Choose sardines packed in water or olive oil, not in heavy brine or sugary sauces. Aim for 2 to 3 servings per week. Pair them with leafy greens, avocado, or whole grain toast for a balanced anti-inflammatory meal. Keycap 2 Wild-caught salmon. Vascular armor. Not all salmon is equal. Wild-caught salmon is significantly higher in natural antioxidants, particularly astaxanthin, the compound responsible for its vibrant pink color. Astaxanthin protects delicate microvessels in the brain from oxidative stress. These tiny vessels are crucial for memory, balance, and cognitive clarity, and they become more fragile with age. Wild salmon is also abundant in EPA and DHA, which reduce inflammation and improve endothelial function. It's a clean protein source. It digests easily. It does not spike blood sugar. And it supports healthy circulation. Preparation matters. Avoid deep frying. Instead, steam it gently, lightly pan-sear with olive oil. Bake at moderate temperatures. Add lemon, herbs, and colorful vegetables. 2 servings per week is enough to meaningfully support vascular resilience. Keycap 3 Rainbow trout. The underrated protector rainbow trout is often overlooked, and that's unfortunate. It provides omega-3 levels similar to salmon but tends to be lower in heavy metals. It's also rich in vitamin D and vitamin B12, both critical for nerve health, red blood cell production, and blood pressure regulation. Many adults over 60 are deficient in vitamin D. Low levels are linked to arterial stiffness and higher stroke risk. Trout supports both the cardiovascular and nervous systems simultaneously. It's also easy to prepare. Steam it with dill and lemon. Lightly grill it with olive oil. Or add it to a simple vegetable-based soup. 1 to 2 servings per week is sufficient. Here's the bottom line: fish can either inflame your arteries or fortify them. It depends entirely on what you choose and how you cook it. Now let me give you the practical framework I share with my patients over 60. Because choosing the right fish is only half the equation. How you prepare it, and how often you eat it, determines whether it protects you or stresses your arteries. Green circle rule number 1: skip high heat and deep frying. That crispy golden crust may look appealing, but high temperature frying oxidizes healthy fats and creates inflammatory byproducts. Instead, choose steaming, baking at moderate temperatures, light pan-searing with olive oil. A gentle poaching. These methods preserve omega-3 fatty acids and prevent the formation of harmful compounds that damage the endothelium. Your arteries prefer gentle cooking. Green circle rule number 2: always pair fish with colorful vegetables. Aren't decoration, they're protection. Spinach, broccoli, bell peppers, tomatoes, carrots. These contain antioxidants and polyphenol that neutralize oxidative stress and support detox pathways. When you pair fish with fiber-rich vegetables, you also stabilize blood sugar and reduce post-meal triglyceride spikes. Think of vegetables as your vascular shield. Green circle rule number 3: choose smaller fish more often. Smaller fish like sardines, trout, and anchovies accumulate fewer heavy metals. Large predatory fish, tuna, swordfish, shark, accumulate more. As a general guideline, after 60, smaller fish, 2 to 3 times per week. Larger ocean fish, limit to occasional use. Consistency matters more than quantity. Green circle rule number 4: read labels carefully. Canned fish can be convenient, but sodium content varies widely. Look for low sodium options packed in water or olive oil, BPA-free containers, no artificial sauces or preservatives. Avoid heavily smoked, salted, or processed fish products if you have high blood pressure or a history of stroke. Now here's something encouraging. When patients begin swapping inflammatory fish for protective options, changes often appear quickly. Within 7 days. Less bloating. Improved digestion. Better sleep. By 2 to 3 weeks, more stable blood pressure. Improved energy. Reduced fluid retention. By 30 days, better lipid markers. Sharper mental clarity. Improved vascular flexibility. These are not miracles. They are biological responses to reduced inflammation and improved endothelial function. Let me leave you with this: after 60, every meal is either strengthening your blood vessels or straining them. Fish is not automatically healthy. But the right fish, prepared the right way, can be one of the most powerful tools you have to protect your brain and your heart. Now I'd love to hear from you. What type of fish do you eat most often? Were you surprised by anything on today's list? Comment bilo? Share this with someone you care about. And if you want more science-backed guidance on aging well and protecting your vascular health, make sure you subscribe. This is Dr. Christina Serrati, and I'll see you in the next episode.